A massive fire rages, its flames reaching toward the sky. Thousands gather to witness what they think will be the end of one man's journey, but they're about to witness something incredible instead. What makes a man stand firm when faced with a blazing fire? What gives someone the strength to challenge not just a king, but his own father? This isn't just any story. This is the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the man who would become known as Khalilullah, the friend of Allah. In the pages of the Quran, one name shines so bright that Allah mentions him in 35 different chapters. Ibrahim alayhi salam appears across 63 verses, each one teaching us lessons we need today more than ever.
إن إبراهيم كان أمة قانتا لله حنيفا ولم يك من المشركين.
Indeed, Ibrahim was a comprehensive leader, devoutly obedient to Allah, inclining toward truth. Allah chose him as his friend. He wasn't just any prophet, he became the father of prophets. From his family line came leaders who would change the world. Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, and many more, right down to our beloved Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon them all. Before all these titles, before becoming the friend of Allah, Ibrahim started as a young man with a simple but powerful question. What is the truth? His search for answers would test his faith, his courage, and his love for Allah in ways we can hardly imagine. Today, we're going to walk through this amazing journey. We'll see how a young Ibrahim first questioned the beliefs everyone around him took for granted. We'll witness his incredible courage, his clever wisdom, and most importantly, his unshakable faith in Allah. This is a story that shows us what real faith looks like, a story that still changes lives today. Young Ibrahim lived in a land where people shaped their gods with their own hands. His father, Azar, was a carpenter who crafted idols from wood, selling them to people who would bow down and worship these lifeless objects.
قال لأبيه يا أبت لم تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا.
When he said to his father, "O my father, why do you worship that which does not hear and does not see and will not benefit you at all?" Ibrahim watched as his father carved eyes that couldn't see, ears that couldn't hear, and mouths that couldn't speak. How could these statues, made by human hands, be worthy of worship? This question burned in his young heart. Every day, Ibrahim saw people treating these wooden idols as gods. They would bring food offerings, bow before them, and ask them for help. But these idols couldn't eat the food, they couldn't move, they couldn't help anyone.
وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه آزر أتتخذ أصناما آلهة.
And when Ibrahim said to his father Azar, "Do you take idols as gods?" The more Ibrahim thought about it, the clearer it became. These idols were just like the wooden toys his father would make, except people had given them powers they didn't have. If they got dirty, someone had to clean them. If they fell, someone had to lift them up. How could they help others when they couldn't even help themselves? This understanding didn't come from what others taught him. It came from Allah's guidance. Even as a young person, Ibrahim used his mind to think deeply about the world around him. He looked at the stars in the sky, the sun rising and setting, and knew there had to be something greater than these man-made idols.
وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض وليكون من الموقنين.
And thus did we show Ibrahim the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, that he would be among the certain. This was Ibrahim's first challenge, to question what everyone around him believed without thinking. It wasn't easy being different. It wasn't easy questioning what everyone took for granted, but Ibrahim's search for truth was more important than fitting in with the crowd. Now that Ibrahim understood the truth, he faced an even bigger challenge. He had to share this message with others, starting with the person closest to him, his father. But how do you tell your own father that everything he believes is wrong?
واذكر في الكتاب إبراهيم إنه كان صديقا نبيا.
And mention in the book of Abraham, indeed he was truthful and a prophet. Ibrahim chose the path of gentle wisdom. He spoke to his father with respect and love, using the most honorable words. He didn't attack or mock his father's beliefs. Instead, he asked questions that would make his father think,
يا أبت إني قد جاءني من العلم ما لم يأتك فاتبعني أهدك صراطا سويا.
"O my father, indeed there has come to me knowledge that has not come to you, so follow me. I will guide you to an even path." But his father's response wasn't what Ibrahim hoped for. Instead of listening, Azar became angry. He threatened Ibrahim, warning him to stop speaking against the idols. But even in the face of this rejection, Ibrahim remained respectful.
قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي.
"Peace be upon you. I will ask forgiveness for you from my Lord." Ibrahim then turned to his community. He saw how deeply they were trapped in false beliefs. They worshipped idols because their parents did. They followed traditions without thinking. Ibrahim knew he had to help them see the truth.
وقال إنما اتخذتم من دون الله أوثانا مودة بينكم في الحياة الدنيا.
You have only taken idols besides Allah as a bond of affection among you in worldly life. He spoke to people with wisdom and clear examples. He asked them how these idols could help them when they couldn't even help themselves. He invited them to think about who created the heavens and the earth. But just like his father, most people refused to listen. Some became angry, others mocked him. Many just ignored him. But Ibrahim didn't give up. He knew that speaking the truth was more important than being liked. He kept inviting people to worship Allah alone, even when it became dangerous for him. This was Ibrahim's great test of patience. Despite rejection from his father and his people, he remained steadfast in delivering Allah's message. His story teaches us that speaking the truth requires not just courage, but also wisdom, patience, and unshakable faith. If you found inspiration in Ibrahim's unwavering faith, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of wisdom and courage. Let's spread the message together. Ibrahim understood that his people's beliefs went beyond just idol worship. They placed their faith in the celestial bodies above them, the stars, moon, and sun. They believed these heavenly objects controlled their destiny, bringing good fortune or bad luck. They would pray to them, make offerings, and even time their important decisions based on their movements.
فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي.
So when the night covered him, he saw a star. He said, "This is my Lord." Ibrahim chose a powerful way to make them think. On a clear night, he gathered with his people and pointed to the brightest star in the sky. "Look at this star," he said. "If we're searching for a God to worship, shouldn't we choose something magnificent like this?" The people listened, thinking Ibrahim was finally accepting their ways. Ibrahim waited patiently. As the night progressed, they watched the bright star move across the sky until it disappeared below the horizon. Only then did Ibrahim speak. "How can this be, my Lord?" It vanishes. A true God doesn't disappear. He continued his lesson through the night. When the moon rose, bright and full, he pointed to it. The moon was bigger than the star, its light more powerful. The people watched as Ibrahim appeared to consider the moon as a divine being. But like the star, the moon too followed its predetermined path across the sky and eventually set. Finally, when the sun rose, bathing everything in its light and warmth, Ibrahim drew their attention to it. The sun was the most powerful of all celestial bodies they worshipped. Its heat could burn, its light could blind, and all life depended on it.
إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين.
Indeed, I have turned my face toward He who created the heavens and the earth, inclining toward truth, and I am not of those who associate others with Allah. With this final observation, Ibrahim delivered his powerful message. These celestial bodies, no matter how magnificent they appear, are all created things. They follow fixed paths they cannot change. They appear and disappear at set times. They can't choose to rise earlier or set later. How can something that is bound by such strict laws be worthy of worship? Shouldn't we instead worship the one who created them, who established their paths, who made them beneficial for us? Through this clever method, Ibrahim exposed the flaws in their belief system. He didn't just tell them they were wrong, he led them to realize it themselves. He showed them that true divinity belongs only to the Creator, not to the created. No matter how powerful something might seem, if it's bound by laws and limitations, it cannot be God. This was Ibrahim's way, teaching through observation, reasoning, and reflection. He showed that true faith isn't blind following, but comes through understanding and clear thinking. Namrud wasn't just any king. He was considered divine by his people. They believed he controlled the rain, provided their food, and held power over life and death. His claims to godhood went unchallenged until Ibrahim's message began spreading through the land.
ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك.
Have you not considered the one who argued with Ibrahim about his Lord because Allah had given him kingship? When Ibrahim was brought before Namrud, the court was filled with priests, nobles, and common people. They came to witness this confrontation between their king god and the young man who dared to challenge him. Namrud sat high on his throne, expecting to easily dismiss Ibrahim's claims. The debate began with Namrud's question, "Ibrahim, tell me about this Lord of yours." His tone was mocking, designed to make Ibrahim look foolish before the crowd. Ibrahim's response was simple, yet profound. "My Lord is the one who gives life and causes death." This struck at the heart of Namrud's claim to divinity, as he too claimed this power. Namrud, thinking he could outsmart Ibrahim, ordered his guards to bring 2 prisoners. He pointed to the first and ordered his execution. Then he turned to the second prisoner and granted him freedom. Turning back to Ibrahim, he declared triumphantly, "See, I too can give life and death." The crowd murmured, impressed by their king's display of power. But Ibrahim wasn't finished. He understood that Namrud hadn't created life. He had merely ended one life and spared another. So he presented a challenge that would expose the limits of Namrud's power.
فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب.
Indeed, Allah brings up the sun from the east, so bring it up from the west. The court fell silent. Namrud's face darkened. This simple challenge had exposed the truth: he wasn't divine at all. If he were truly a god, changing the sun's course should be easy. But he couldn't even make the sun rise a moment earlier or set a moment later. Ibrahim's challenge was brilliant for several reasons. First, it pointed to something everyone could observe. No one could deny the sun's daily journey from east to west. Second, it showed that true divine power involves control over the fundamental forces of nature, not just power over human lives. Third, it demonstrated that Namrud, despite all his worldly power, was just as subject to natural laws as anyone else. The king who claimed to be God couldn't answer. The man who declared himself divine couldn't even influence the sun's rising. His silence spoke volumes to everyone present. Some in the court lowered their eyes, understanding for the first time that their king wasn't divine at all. Others grew angry, seeing their king humiliated by such a simple question. This confrontation teaches us crucial lessons. It shows that truth presented with wisdom can challenge even the most powerful falsehood. It demonstrates that real faith isn't afraid to question authority when that authority makes false claims. Most importantly, it reveals that true divine power belongs only to Allah, who controls not just life and death, but every aspect of creation. But Namrud's humiliation would have dangerous consequences. Unable to answer Ibrahim's argument, he would soon turn to force instead of reason. Ibrahim had tried reasoning with his people about their idols. Now it was time for action. He waited for the perfect moment, their annual festival when everyone would leave the city. When they invited him to join, he looked at the sky and said he was ill. They left him behind.
فجعلهم جذاذا إلا كبيرا لهم لعلهم إليه يرجعون.
So he broke them into pieces, except the largest of them, that they might return to it. In the empty temple, Ibrahim found their idols surrounded by offerings of food. These were statues his father and others had carved, now worshipped as gods. With determination, he took an axe and destroyed every idol except the largest one. In a final stroke of genius, he hung the axe around the big idol's neck. When the people returned and found their gods shattered, their shock turned to rage. They knew Ibrahim had spoken against their idols. They brought him before everyone for questioning.
قال بل فعله كبيرهم هذا فاسألوهم إن كانوا ينطقون.
He said, rather this, the largest of them did it, so ask them if they should be able to speak. Ibrahim's response was brilliant. By suggesting they ask the idols what happened, he forced them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Their gods couldn't speak, move, or even protect themselves. How could they worship something so powerless? The people understood his point, but pride stopped them from accepting the truth. Instead of abandoning their false gods, their anger towards Ibrahim grew stronger. His brave action and clever response had exposed their beliefs' hollowness, but it would also lead to his greatest test yet. Ibrahim had challenged their beliefs, exposed their king's false claims, and destroyed their idols. Now Namrud and the priests wanted revenge. Their solution? A fire so massive it would serve as a warning to anyone who dared question their gods.
قالوا حرقوه وانصروا آلهتكم إن كنتم فاعلين.
They said, burn him and support your gods, if you are to act. For days they gathered wood, building a fire so intense that no one could even approach it. The flames reached so high that birds couldn't fly over without burning. They brought Ibrahim forward, but his faith didn't waver. Even facing death, his trust in Allah remained unshakable. When they asked if he needed anything, his response showed complete submission to Allah. "From you, I need nothing. Allah is sufficient for me." They used a catapult to throw him into the flames, as no one could get close enough to the fire. Then came one of the greatest miracles.
قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ.
We said, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." The fire obeyed its creator. The same flames that were hot enough to melt metal became cool and peaceful for Ibrahim. He walked out completely unharmed. Not a single hair on his body was burned. The very thing they meant to destroy him became his protection by Allah's command. This miracle showed everyone that Ibrahim's Lord was indeed the true God. The fire that answered to Allah's command proved that even the elements of nature submit to their Creator. Some who witnessed this believed, understanding that only the true God could command fire itself. Others, including Namrud, remained stubborn in their disbelief, even in the face of such a clear sign. After surviving the fire through Allah's miracle, Ibrahim's message spread far beyond his homeland. His unwavering faith through every test earned him the most precious title.
اتخذ الله إبراهيم خليلا.
And Allah took Ibrahim as an intimate friend. This friendship with Allah wasn't just a title, it was the result of absolute surrender to his Lord's will. Through every challenge, Ibrahim showed us what perfect faith looks like, questioning false beliefs, standing firm against tyranny, trusting Allah completely, and facing tests with patience. His legacy continues to shape our world today. The Kaaba he built still stands as our direction of prayer. Every year, millions perform Hajj rituals that commemorate his sacrifices. Through his sons Ismail and Ishaq came a line of prophets, culminating in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all.
مِلَّةَ أَبِيكُمْ إِبْرَاهِيمَ هُوَ سَمَّاكُمُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَفِي هَذَا لِيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ شَهِيدًا عَلَيْكُمْ.
The religion of your father, Ibrahim. Allah named you Muslims. Ibrahim's story isn't just history, it's a living lesson for all times. When we face our own trials, when standing for truth seems difficult, when it feels like we're standing alone, his example lights our way. He shows us that with complete trust in Allah, even fire can become cool and peaceful. From a young man questioning idols to becoming the friend of Allah, Ibrahim's journey teaches us that true faith can overcome any challenge. His story reminds us that the path of truth, though difficult, leads to success in this life and the next. Want to dive deeper into more inspiring stories of the prophets? Subscribe to our channel now and join our growing community of seekers of knowledge. Hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss an episode of these timeless lessons that can transform your life. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear this powerful message today.